Let's go, let's go. It's taken me forever. I've cut like the first 5 minutes of this out because, you know, it takes forever to get up into this position in a tank as fast as this. But yeah, we're just gonna go and hold down. Good gun depression on the Badger, good frontal armor as far as, you know, it's a new toy, so I'm just gonna do some work here and use my gun depression. See if we can get some shots in. Okay, yeah, FV4005, 2100 damage, 1-hit kill. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Great start to 1.0. You can see how my early games went as I'm trying to learn the maps and trying to learn some new tanks. Anyway, let's get on with today's video. Hi folks, and welcome to the Ace Tanker for the T71 CMCD, a Tier 7 American light tank that when it was originally announced I was quite disappointed with because I didn't think we needed another T71 in the game. There was another tank I spoke about at the time, long before it was announced, called the T92. So when this tank was announced as a new American light tank branching off from the original T71 line, I was a little bit disappointed because the T92 existed. It existed in prototype and it wasn't in the game, but it turns out that Wargaming were able to slip this into the game and include the T92 in the game as a premium tank, although, as I say, I was a little bit disappointed that T92 wasn't in the regular tech tree and maybe this introduced as a premium, but, you know, I got both tanks in the game anyway, so it really doesn't matter. So yes, I haven't been playing regularly, but this is the Ace Tanker for the T71 CMCD, which is a more recent addition than the original T71, which was an autoloader, and this isn't. This is a single-shot 76mm gun with 145mm of penetration, 150 damage, so it's not bad. It is not bad at all. In fact, I quite like playing the T71 CMDC, and we're going to get into the history now, because this is another paper tank. There seems to be a lot of paper tanks in the game these days. This is another paper tank. It only existed in plans, but where this tank came about, it took a bit of digging. This tank, information on this tank is very, very limited. Because it only existed on paper. There's not a lot of information out there, but essentially it ties in. It does fit in the tech tree alongside the T71 DA and the T92. It actually does fit in nicely where Wargaming decided to put it in the tech tree at Tier 7, due to the fact that the three tanks I've mentioned, the DA, the CMCD, and the T92, are all very, very closely linked through their history. Because in May 1952, a tender was put out for a new reconnaissance light tank to replace the Bulldog, even though the Bulldog had recently gone into service. So the M41 Bulldog, it went into service, but it was using a lot of new experimental equipment. The fire control system, for example, was new. It was still experimental, and it didn't work. The Bulldog also had major problems regarding its weight, because it was over 20 tons, which made it far too heavy to carry via helicopter or plane, and you know, America were looking for a rapid deployment tank, a little bit like the French were doing in Europe with the AMX-13. So the Bulldog was too heavy. It had problems with its fire control system. It also had problems with its engine, in that the engine was just not fuel efficient enough. It basically guzzled through fuel, and that meant that the Bulldog had a limited range of operations. It couldn't travel very far before needing a refill. So the engine had problems. The engine also was far too noisy, which for a reconnaissance tank probably isn't a good idea. So the US put out a tender for a new reconnaissance tank that needed to be light, it needed to be fast, and there were three respondents, three different companies responded with three different designs to replace the Bulldog. The first one is, I suppose we'll go in order that they appeared in game. The first one was was the T71 DA. Now that was a tank that was introduced by the Detroit Arsenal. That's where the DA comes from, Detroit Arsenal. So they're plan was a T71 that would basically come with an oscillating turret. Originally, the plan for all three designs that were submitted were that they would have 90mm guns, but in order to keep the weight down, those 90mm guns basically became 76mm guns. So Detroit Arsenal basically decided that if they weren't going to use the 90mm gun, they would put a 76mm on it, but they would make it on an oscillating turret and an autoloader. So basically, it would still have enough firepower even though it wasn't a 90mm. So that design was put forward. A wooden mock-up of the T71 DA was built, but it never went any further than that. So the next company to propose a design for a replacement for the Bulldog, again we're going chronologically, is the T71 CMCD, this particular tank here. Now the CMCD stands for General Motors Cadillac Motor Car Division. So this was a tank built by GM, or well, supposed to be built by GM, but it was from the Cadillac Motor Car Division, which is the CMCD. Now, this tank, again, a bit like the previous T71 design by Detroit Arsenal, this tank was designed to be light, fast, not much armor, but the company, the Cadillac Motor Car Division, decided to go against the oscillating turret or the 90mm as well to keep weight down, and they went with a standard 76mm. So what they basically did was they designed this tank to exactly the same specifications as the Bulldog. They just made it lighter. So the single shot gun we get on this particular tank is almost a carbon copy of the gun that was on the Bulldog. So it had the same firepower as the Bulldog, but it didn't have the same engine issues, fire control issues, or range of operation issues, and of course it was far lighter. So this actually met the brief far better than any of the other tanks. But unfortunately it never got beyond the planning stage, and we'll get into that in a moment. The third company that actually submitted plans for a replacement was for the T92 light tank, and that was by a company called Aircraft Armaments. Now they actually designed a tank again based on the Bulldog, designed to have the same firepower as the Bulldog, but just improved engine and improved weight meant it met the specifications required by the tender. A prototype was built of the T92, but unfortunately it never went any further than that. Now, the reason all three of these tanks never went any further was, even though they were all, well, looked pretty good on paper, or in the case of the T92 looked good as a prototype, was that first of all, the spending was cut by the US military. So in 1956, by the time all of these tanks had been planned or either built as a prototype, there was severe cutbacks in military spending by the US, and these three tanks all suffered from basically a lack of money to progress them further along the way. The other reason that maybe these tanks were found to be not needed after about 1956 is because the Bulldog sorted out most of its problems. It fixed its fire control issues, it fixed its engine issues, it fixed the noise issues, it increased its range of operation. About the only thing it didn't fix was the weight, but simply just replacing the entire tank because it was a little bit too heavy wasn't found to be very cost efficient. So that's pretty much it. This only existed on plans. It was one of three different tank designs that was proposed in 1952 to replace the Bulldog. We've got all three of those tank designs in the game now, as the T92, the T71 DA, and the T71 CMCD, and that's pretty much it. So the next thing to figure out is how different is the T71 CMCD against the T71 DA, which is a better tank. And surprisingly, playing-wise, actually playing the tank and also stat-wise, it was a very pleasant surprise, because the T71 DA is a tank I actually like. I still have it. I haven't played it forever, but it's a tank I actually really liked, and I thought the single-shot version wasn't going to give much else. It was the same tank, it just happened to be a single-shot version. But the stats show a different story, and I actually prefer playing this T71 CMCD over the T71 DA these days. They both have their place in the game. The autoloader can be very dangerous, but this one, yeah, it was a bit of a surprise, because the DPM is better than it is on the autoloader, so it gets better DPM, although all the other firepower is exactly the same. So same penetration, same damage, but the DPM is better on the single shotgun, and not only that, but the gun handling is better on the CMCD over the DA. Yeah, the gun handling far better. Better aim time, better accuracy, better shooting on the move than the autoloader, and the autoloader is quite good at shooting shooting on the move. This one is better. But the big change for me, or the most noticeable difference between the CMCD and the T71 DA, is the fact it gets 10 degrees of gun depression compared to 7 degrees on the DA oscillating turret. So it gets much better gun handling, gets much better DPM, and it gets much better gun depression. And it doesn't end there, because its mobility is also better than it is on the DA. So it gets the same top speed, but it gets a slightly better reverse speed. Maybe not noticeable, but it is slightly better. The DA is a slightly lighter tank, so it gets a tiny bit of a power to weight ratio, but 0.02 is not that much. So the terrain resistance on paper is fine. They're both identical, but look at this. The turret traverse speed and the tank traverse speed are far better on the CMCD for some reason, and also the ground resistance while turning the tank on hard, medium and soft is far better than it is on the DA. All the other stats are identical. So essentially, when you're playing the CMCD over the DA, what you're getting is better DPM, you're getting better gun depression, you're getting better gun handling, and you're getting better mobility, at least while traversing the tank and in reverse. So yeah, it was a little bit of a surprise package. I wasn't expecting it to be quite as, so much better than the DA, but yeah, stats don't lie, and I'm really enjoying my time in the T71. So anyway, I found myself here on Glacier. Yeah, it's a new map for me, and I need to learn the names. I can't even get the names of the original maps right, but Glacier. So this is a map based on Sweden. So we're gonna go, and as I say, I'm new to the map, and I'm very rusty at World of Tanks, as you're going to be seeing in this particular game. Extremely rusty, because I make quite a few mistakes, but anyway, we're just going to advance, and I'm wondering whether or not I can use this central little island here, whether or not to get some early spots, do some damage. Now, being a tier 7 in a tier 8 game in this particular game, I'm planning to be damage dealing, spotting and damage dealing, but so first shot goes off. I don't get spotted until I fire, but we get a couple of shots in. Now, oh, it looks like the enemy have the same idea. So Lorraine 40T is here, T3485M, so we're getting some assistance. Yeah, people are trying to shoot me. So one other major difference, I think, between the CMCD and the DA is the second cupola, the machine gun turret on top of the main turret, is a lot bigger. So even though you get better gun depression, you do expose some of your tank when you're trying to use that gun depression, because the top turret is exposed. Oh, whoa, yeah, oh yeah, forgot. It's been a while since I watched this game. Okay, reverse. Okay, he's missed his third shot. Okay, that was cheeky. I don't know how the 20 or 12T got up into that position before being spotted, so we get one shot in. Trying to use my reverse speed here, but I don't want to reverse too far because I don't know what's lurking up on the ridges there. So, yeah, okay, I kind of failed there. I wasn't looking at the minimap, didn't spot the 12T, so just going to move, try and relocate. I don't think I have played enough games on this map. I don't think I've ever gone on the A or B lines or C lines on this map. I haven't yet. So, yeah, that's something I'm going to have to try next time I log in and get onto this map. But, yeah, as I say, I'm just experimenting here. I'm new to the map, trying to get spots off. So Tiger 1 is spotted, Lorraine 40T is here. And, yeah, okay. So the penetration on this gun isn't terrible. It works well for its tier. It's 145, which means that you can get to the side and rear of most heavily armored tanks, and you should be able to do damage to them. Not always, but usually. The damage 150 is pretty good, so yeah, I mean, I'm not really doing any scouting here. I'm just trying to get some damage dealing done, and if I do get any spotting, it's a bonus. So just what we need, map for RT scumbags. Someone's having a bad time with RT. So yeah, there are a bunch of RT in this game, so 2 RT on the enemy team, so kind of surprised they've left me alone. But anyway, we've only lost 1 tank, we've only managed to kill 2 of the enemy team, but we get 1 shot into the enemy CMCD there. Lorraine 40T seems to be in a dip, so yeah. As I say, this is not a great game. It's not a good game. I'm just rolling around here, and you guys are always going to get the first ace in a game, in a tank, regardless of how good or bad the game is. If it's an ace, it goes up on the channel. So yeah, that was a really unfortunate bounce on the T71. So I hit him and did 0 damage to the T71 there. That's kind of surprising. Didn't even track him, but then again, low alpha. Oh, okay, someone's just taken a shot. And the T3485M knew I was there. I don't know what he was doing rolling across. So SU-152 was spotted again, getting more assistance damage. So we're only on 1 kill, 815 damage. So once again, trying to spot enemy tanks camping at the back, trying to relocate. And is that 40T? Did I have a shot in that 40T? Let's see. Whoa, 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 whoa. That 40T looks as if maybe he has flipped. Yeah, okay. Hint of a shot in the SU-152. No. Not spotting anything. Yeah, that 40T actually looked as if he had flipped. I don't think I noticed this at the time I was playing the game. Now I've noticed and I was going, ooh! Alright. Alright, first shot misses. And we're getting some easy, nice farming damage here. Yeah, I'd forgotten this had happened. Alright. So, alright. I guess we gotta thank our Lorraine 40T there for the ace we've picked up. So, yeah, thank you, Bartek. Yeah, I'd forgotten that happened. So, oh, RL44 moving across. And a bounce. Yeah, the accuracy is okay on this tank, but, yeah. I have been bouncing a few shots, unfortunately, so... Oh, he gets taken out before I do any damage, so... it looks like we've thinned out the enemy numbers sufficiently to score is 9-3, so let's go up, see if we can do some RT spotting, start working on the tanks that were last camping up here. So the only tank I'm aware of up here is the Tiger 1 according to the minimap, and he's just been spotted again. So we're doing our 64 kilometers an hour, which is the top speed of this tank. So not the fastest, but it's amongst the fastest. It's fast, it's mobile, can get to the side and rear, you can circle enemy tanks to death. It's pretty much everything you would want from a light tank. So just getting behind this guy just to give me a little bit of cover. M44 has been spotted, T3485M on the ridge. T3485M goes down, so one shot in here. And if I do remember, I haven't spotted the other RT, but I'm about to make a huge mistake. You're about to see how rusty and how terrible I am at the game these days. So I'm moving up, I'm thinking KV2, T43, and I stop. Yeah, yeah, I was thinking I can flank the T43, the KV2, start getting more damage done, and I spot the FM13 F3 as I'm crossing, and for some reason I don't keep driving, I don't shoot in the move, I basically stop because I didn't think he would be aiming at me. I just spotted him. I didn't think he'd seen me, but he did, and he had his gun pre-aimed, and yep, I stopped. So that's how terrible I am at the game. So ended up dying when I thought I could do a lot more damage and get a lot more XP out of this game. So I was a little bit annoyed at myself, a little bit annoyed I was so rusty. Why would you stop in a light tank in front of RT? I would criticize everyone for doing that. Anytime I would see that in a replay, anytime I saw a teammate do that, I would criticize them. I'd be asking why would you stop in front of RT? I stopped to let my gun aim in, and yeah, yeah, terrible play by me. So, yeah, I do apologize. So, yeah, learn from my mistakes. If you are in a light tank or a fast tank and you do spot RT, don't suddenly stop to aim. Just keep going. Make it hard for them to hit you. And there you go. Don't copy me, and you'll probably get better games. So, anyway, it looks as if our team end up winning the game, and there we go. So anyway, first ace in the CMCD, or the Cadillac Motors Car Division T71. We picked up an ace, no other medals. We also picked up our first mark of excellence. That tells you how little I'm playing this tank these days, but ended up doing quite a bit of assistance damage, and thanks to a Lorraine 40T, we ended up getting quite a bit of damage done on a tier 8 that was helpless. Finished up with 1267, which was enough to pick up an ace. Only 3 kills, 2,359 damage, so yeah, pretty joint top damage with the SU-100M1. So damage was nice, playing on the front line, getting assistance damage as well. So yeah, I thought maybe I'd have to have a better game in order to ace it, but obviously not. So we only managed to do about 1,700 assistance damage, which is a little bit disappointing, but when you add it to the actual damage done itself, it was enough for the ace. So 21 shots fired, 19 hits, so the accuracy is quite good. 17 pens, yeah, 2 of the bounces in that game, I don't know what the heck happened, because I should have had more than enough penetration to go through the side of an RL or the rear of a T71, but who cares? So it's quite a cheap tank, as you can see, 21 shots fired, and our ammo cost only came to 5.6k repair costs only came to 7k, so it's quite a cheap tank to run, and if you can do damage, then I think this could be a decent money maker if you don't have a premium tank. We ended up with 40,000 credits made in that game. First game of the day, or first win of the game, times 2, left me on 4,277. So yeah, T71, it's another paper tank. There seems to be a lot of paper tanks being introduced recently. This is just another one of them. You know, so only existed in plans, and it was just one of 3 designs. All 3 designs are in the game now, but it was one of 3 designs that were planned for replacing of the Bulldog. So we've got the T71DA, the T71 CMCD, and the T92. All 3 plans from 1952 are now in the game. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.